The history of war goes back for many thousands of years, with weapons and defences developing over time to allow one army to gain a temporary advantage over another army. Earliest catapults were actually a development from crossbows and can be traced back to the 3rd century BCE. Their ability to fire a variety of different missiles over a large distance proved crucial in battle, with catapults being used widely in war for over 2,000 years. Catapults proved especially useful during the Middle Ages, when castles and fortified walled cities became more common. Catapults provided a way to try and breach these defences by either firing projectiles over high walls or by using brute force to knock walls down. The projectiles fired by catapults varied considerably, from small and large stones to pots of Greek fire and burning tar. Some armies went even further and fired dead, mutilated, or diseased bodies at opposing armies, in an attempt to spread disease through the opposition's ranks. Ignoring influences such as wind and air resistance, the path followed by a projectile fired from a catapult will be part of a parabola. Changing the angle that the projectile is fired by moving the pivot point of the throwing arm can cause the projectile to travel a shorter or longer distance, or be fired higher or lower. A projectile fired with a low angle of elevation has a flat trajectory and more horizontal force, meaning it is able to smash into defences from front on, causing maximum impact. This could prove especially useful when trying to knock down enemy fortifications or city walls. On the other hand, a projectile fired with a high angle of elevation will have a steep trajectory, and as it falls from a greater height, it will gather momentum, causing damage from above. Projectiles fired at a higher angle could be used to fire over the first line of enemy defences, to hit where the enemy may be more vulnerable. The design of catapults slowly evolved over time, creating more efficient machines that were tailored to specific tasks. The ballista was one of the earliest designs. It worked in a similar way to a giant crossbow, by using torsion to fire projectiles along a flat trajectory. Ballistas were highly accurate, but lacked the force of later catapults. A mangonel consisted of a long wooden arm with a bowl-shaped bucket at the end of the arm. A rope was attached to the arm, which would pull the arm back from its natural angle, storing tension in the arm and rope. When released, the arm would then return to its natural angle, firing the projectiles in an arc from the bucket. Mangonels lacked the accuracy of the ballista, but could carry high loads. They would usually be used for destroying fortifications rather than attempting to go over them. The trebuchet used a long arm that was placed on a fulcrum. The longer length of the arm would have a sling attached to it, into which the projectiles were loaded, while the shorter length of the arm was attached to a counterweight. A pulley system would bring the long end of the arm to the ground and the counterweight into the air, and when released, the long end of the arm would rise, sending the projectiles towards the enemy. Trebuchets proved to be powerful weapons and were prominent throughout medieval battles. The invention of gunpowder meant that lighter and more powerful weapons replaced catapults on the fields of battle. But catapults still remained in use in warfare until early in the 20th century. Meanwhile, the parabola that a projectile follows can still be seen whenever something travels at an angle through the air without outside forces acting on it. Whether it's a missile being fired from a cannon, a football being kicked at a goal, or a cricket ball being thrown in the field.